I got ADHD, baby. I set my goals, not your expectations, baby. I need my tools and a brain vacation, baby. Neurodivergent flow, no limitation, baby.
Thank you so much for joining. So everybody, my name is Megan. I am back. I'm with the founder of ADHD at Work. And if you recall or remember, I did a whole IG live series in the month of October. We were live every day, Monday through Friday in the month of October, talking about all things related to ADHD. And so I took a break for the holidays and I decided that I wanted to bring the series back in 2025. So throughout the entire year, we're going to be going on live and having conversations about ADHD with a variety of different topics. And so today we have John here, and he is going to be talking to us. And we're going to be chatting and vibing all around ADHD and men. And he is the vice president and co-founder for the men's ADHD support group. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to have John introduce himself and give way more information than I could possibly ever remember. And so I hope that everybody that's listening today is excited to kind of get into the nitty gritty around ADHD in men and, and how it shows up a little bit differently than for women. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. Take it away as
All
I
right.
try to do it.
Look, be comfortable. That's all it is. Anytime I ever do anything, it's always be as comfortable, be as you are. We just relax and just have a conversation.
I'm trying to. I got a new phone, and before I just kind of hooked onto my computer, and I could just keep it moving. But now with this new phone, I can't hook up. So anyway, I'm struggling over here tech wise, but we're gonna work it out.
All right. Well, I'm John Hazelwood. I am the co-founder of the Men's ADHD Support Group. It's a group that myself and Mark Adedovar, a close brother of mine, we started, I want to say, back in 2019, just because we were looking for a space where, men with neurodiversity, especially ADHD, that were minorities like us, could come together and just be able to exist and have a place where we can just speak freely about our experiences and learn a little bit more and just spread as much advocacy as much as what we can, because ADHD is so much more than people saying, oh, you can't focus, or, oh, you're just too hyper. It's a whole spectrum. It's the gift that keeps giving. And, if we could sit on, social media every single day and be in everyone's relationship, we can sit here and do all these government conspiracies. We can learn actually about neurodiversity and how it actually shows up factually.
Right.
We started in 2019. It's still going now. Oh man, I remember we got it to like 200 members, and we thought it was really, really moving. And now, 2025, we're at almost 19,000 members. And
wow, that's so amazing.
It's climbing. It's a beautiful thing. We're on so many social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, I believe, because they're trying to shift over from X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Discord, anywhere where we can have our voice heard and we can have members or potential members come in and just get a feel and get a vibe for exactly what we are and what we provide. That is the most important thing out of this whole entire experience. And we do a multitude of just outreach and content that we provide. A YouTube page where we have, I want to say, a couple episodes on there, like 3. I jotted some notes down. Monthly, we have experts come on and talk about different fields of neurodiversity, such as I think we had Mike McLeod from Bro Now ADHD, Carrie Ann Parcells, pediatrician and a close friend of mine, William Kerb, and some of our own members like Brendan Mahan, who does ADHD Essentials. Wonderful, fantastic guy. He's definitely a brother of mine as well, too, and always puts a smile on my face. And just how he's able to deliver so much content and so many facts surrounding this. I don't even want to call it a myth no more. It's just it's something that we live with. It needs to be better defined, and it's overall just spreading the purpose. Other than that, we have podcasts. We have the Men's ADHD podcast, in which I know it should be coming back. this year. We just got to sync our schedules together. But it was something that myself and Mark Almodovar, we did almost every weekend. And we talked about everything. We talk about our personal experiences. We talk about current political topics at times and how it kind of toys with our neurodivergence or if it impacts us to a certain degree. We've had special guests on there where we're laughing, we're smiling, we're crying, we're sharing vulnerable moments, and it literally just makes you feel heard and seen. So that's something that hopefully, I know like my busy schedule has like started to lighten up a lot more. We can do a lot more of that. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's in a nutshell what we do.
that's amazing. And the fact that you even have that resource for men with ADHD is amazing. So, I specifically work with women with ADHD, around work. But I would always love to come to be a guest speaker too. So let me just put that out there.
Oh, go ahead. We're going to note you right on down. As a matter of fact, somebody probably schedule you real soon. Look out for Christian. He'll definitely get that
And talk
done.
about all things ADHD and work and some of the challenges that come with just leading and just working with ADHD and trying to navigate that workspace. But there are some unique challenges that happen with men and for women. What are some common themes that come up, like in your support groups or conversations with men around ADHD?
Oh, man. Emotional regulation. That's one big one. Just learning how to identify emotions, how they show up, how to put words to our emotions. And, we always give a disclaimer that, we're not necessarily, all of us are not professionals. We're
Yeah.
just all men that literally are under the umbrella of ADHD, neurodiversity, and just how it's a comorbidity, so it taps into so many different lanes. We also talk about relationships. We talk about the workspace. We've talked about different spaces in which we can like not only virtually meet, but also we can meet in person as well too. So we've definitely done that. We've talked grief. That's a big topic that comes up. Just how to even navigate through that. A major part of our Sunday discussions, which every Sunday I think it's Eastern Standard Time or it might be Central, at 6 p.m., where pretty much we have an open floor discussion. We'll put it out a week prior to on the Facebook group, and I think it also goes through the Discord as well too, what the topic's going to be. And I mean, not only do we get people in America, but we get people internationally joining, and we do check-ins with each other. Just if we have something on our spirit, we can just go ahead and unload it without feeling like we're, putting a burden on somebody or we're being energy vampires. Like, we're very, very mindful of that. We've talked finances, especially how, ADHD can get in the way, which I've had my experiences with it too, which I'm a lot better now and then. Yeah, almost anything you think of, we've probably already discussed it because it's been going on, I want to say, since 2020 is when it really picked up.
Yeah, that's so great that you have so many members now. That's really exciting. And I'm glad that men are coming together to do that deep work with each other in a safe space where they can just be themselves and have guy talk.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have girl talk, where you have the gossip and things, but us men, we talk too. We got brains, we got feelings, things go on. And it's good to just have that avenue, like just that space there. Because a lot of us, when it comes to us interacting with people in society, it's really tough, especially the world we live in. I'm always saying Earth is ghetto, and I'm going to stand by, put it on a shirt, put it on a flag, wave that thing around, because it is. And so sometimes you need your group, your people that just not only look like you, especially when it comes to us minorities, but they think like you, they process like you, because processing is something that we deal with a lot. There's a process delay when it comes to ADHD. So, you could just come in there and you can go off into your squirrel moments and we're not going to judge you. Because if you ever heard an ADHD person tell a story, it never goes linearly. That thing goes all over the place. Like, you be cross-eyed by the time you try to sit there and try to figure it out. And that's the beauty of it. It's very welcoming.
And it's funny because now that I've been coaching adults with ADHD, and if even if you're not identified with ADHD, like I can kind of almost tell. I'm like, oh, you definitely may want to get take a couple of assessments and see where you land. Because especially I can tell the difference now, even for me, accessing coaching versus not accessing coaching, and the stories do become a little bit more linear, or I catch myself because I have greater awareness around what direction I'm going in a conversation now because I've accessed coaching and I better understand how my brain works, and I can put things in place. It's like, okay, Megan, I need you to stay on.
Yeah.
Stay on track here in this conversation so you don't lose people in the conversation. But one question that I get a lot actually, and mostly because I have an education background, so I'm always working with kids in one way or the other, right? And so what is the age group that you serve in your support group?
We do mainly teenagers into like young adults into older men as well too. Not so much children just yet, but like Brendan Mahan, he on ADHD Essentials, he talks about ADHD and parenting. So we have a lot of parents that will sometimes have a family member come in and just gain information on it just so they can take it back. Or we just want to be a hub where if you can't find the answers searching, this large web that we're in, we can navigate you somewhere. And if we don't know it, there's a professional that's linked to us that can definitely put you in the right direction. Either way, you're going to walk out of it feeling as if it was a success versus, feeling like, oh man, it's just another support group where they're just going to show up, spell all this information, and then it's just going to go completely nowhere.
Yeah, because people ask me because ADHD still is like boys are more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD than girls still, right? And so because it shows up a little bit more inattentive with girls, and so what's happening externally for boys is happening internally for us. And we may or may not be that kid in the classroom that is disrupting things or maybe bouncing off the wall, right? And so because of that, boys are diagnosed first, but people come to me all the time and ask me, they're like, well, can you help with my teenage son or my son that's in college and he's about to flunk out? Can you support them? And I'm like, go to the men's support group.
There you go.
Please.
It's something that's needed. Especially, I remember, just being someone with ADHD, navigating through, high school, navigating through college, and even, going into the engineering field. I knew that my neurodiversity was creeping in its different ways. And I was struggling big time with it, where you'll have therapy, it works, but I didn't know that there was coaching that was out there, which we have enough coaches that are inside of our men's group as well, too. I didn't know that you can do a neuropsych evaluation to even figure out exactly what form of ADHD you deal with, whether you're hyperactive, inattentive, or combined type, which most adults, from what I know, are combined type. And then you add trauma on top of it. And so then I'm Black, I'm ADHD. How many of us Black men are out here admitting this? Because you have that age-old stereotype where men don't feel things. Men are known to, if we experience emotions, we take it out in violent ways. Like we express it through actions. We're not built like that. We can't do that all the time. We're human. The human experience, you're supposed to be able to feel emotions, but you're also supposed to be able to release them and feel some sense of calming, some peace, and to be understood versus just, I feel like so many people just look at ADHD and they just want to slap that label on it. Like when people are just like, oh, I think I might have ADHD. I'm like, first of all, don't do that. I'm like, unless you really walk through these shoes, and especially because like our day and age, we actually have access now to proper testing to know how you show up, because it's a comorbidity, which means it might look like ADHD here, but it can be something else. So oh man, it's like a rubber band ball, and it just keeps rolling and picking up more rubber bands and just destroying everything around it. But we got to start unraveling someday.
Do you find that there's a lot of men that are getting diagnosed later?
Yes. One of the reasons why I think we get diagnosed later is because of the fact we lack the ability to accept that, hey, something is there, and to be aware of it. And asking for help has always been looked at in a lot of communities as a sign of weakness when it comes to men. And there's nothing wrong with showing like, look, I cannot do this alone. It takes a village. And it just so happens that in this day and age that we have access to everyone in the world, that your village is out there. You don't have to feel as if you're a stranger in your own home or a stranger in your mind. You have people that want to understand you. You have people who want to navigate this world with you. Because to me, I try not to look at ADHD as like a mental illness or like a curse.
Yeah.
I just think we're given an ability to navigate through the world and see it through a different lens, which is why we're able to hyper focus and become a master of so many different crafts. Now, we might not be able to pay attention to every single last one of them and burn ourselves out and burn our pockets, but it's once we get that little dopamine spike right there, we're on it. And it's about just being able to manage it. But some of the most creative people are neurodivergent. And so honestly, who the hell wants to be normal and what is normal? Because if you walk outside right now, somebody come up to me and tell me that you know him, I'm like, you lying.
Right.
10 toes down, you lying. Let's go ahead and talk.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just a different way. Exactly. Like, it's just a different way of looking at the world. And then we do have to recognize that the world is designed for a particular type of person. And because of that, and how we're defining success, and how we're defining these expectations, how we're defining professionalism, all of these societal rules weren't really created with a different type of brain in mind. And so to I don't want to say fit in, but because I don't think that's necessarily the right word, because I don't think that we should necessarily be in a place where we're fitting in. But there are certain expectations as an adult that we're supposed to be meeting, right? And some of those challenges, some of those can be really big challenges for adults with ADHD. So like, when we talk about finances, right? Like all the money that we end up spending unnecessarily, like that can potentially be a major problem if you're not accessing some supports and put those in place. And just it also reminded me of I'm bringing out another guest in, I don't know when she's coming, I forget, in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be talking about just ADHD and safety concerns, or like things that we need to really take into consideration as both men and women when we have ADHD navigating this world, because we can end up incarcerated. And so she has a psychology background, and she's done some work on just sexual health, but then also just understanding the incarceration in the prison system and recognizing that there's a lot of ADHDers unnecessarily in prison, right? And so we're going to be going into a deep dive conversation about that. And so it is really important for us to just kind of keep in mind that we are brilliant, and we have a different way of viewing the world, but also recognize the world that we live in is not always going to support us. And when it doesn't, what happens, and are we protecting ourselves?
Very much so. Like, I'm so glad that you mentioned that piece on it, because you do feel like you want to just fit in, and you do feel like it's okay to exist as you. That was one of the major things I dealt with in therapy. Like when I was first learning how to navigate my ADHD, just even how to understand it, I did not feel like I was built to fit in this world, in this society, especially when it comes into, the tech industry, with engineering. Like, you got to be able to, we're processing things so fast. And anybody who deals with ADHD knows that you probably got 8 million tabs open and ain't closed not near one of them at all. But trying to focus on structure and follow along with the standards that are put in front of you, those expectations. And it's tough. And I literally felt as if like the only thing is being put on some type of medication. Medication it's great. It's there. I feel like it's something that's supplemental, but it's also behavioral. You got to understand how to set yourself up for success. I had to understand that I need visual aids if I'm going to do anything, which is why, like in the field of engineering I'm in now, I'm working on Navy ships. I can go out to the ships, I can touch these systems, these different components, and I can see how they work, versus staring at a drawing all day, which I have to do sometimes, but I can visualize things moving. And music is another thing that helps me focus. If I can get on like a lo-fi frequency, I can literally start feeling like a lot of energy within myself, like just concentrating into exactly what I'm doing. And I feel like my thoughts are more organized and I can be super productive. Like, we could do almost any job you put in front of us. It's just, are you willing to work with us?
What would you say? Because I'm hearing you talk, right? And so you're talking a lot about yourself and really getting in tune with how you function and what tools and stuff are going to cause you to be the most successful in different environments.
Mm-hmm.
What helped you learn those things about yourself?
One, the first thing was it was learning transparency and vulnerability, being able to open those doors or reopen those wounds, or even the wounds that are not even fully healed, looking at them for exactly what they are and seeing how it impacts how I am in society. And I think along with my therapist, who to a certain degree was a specialist, I think they were ADHD coaches, as a matter of fact, they were really able to be like, okay, I'm going to get, like, for example, they gave me a puzzle. And he's like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch how you put it together. I'm the type of person, even with Legos. Yes, I'm 30 some odd years old. I like Legos. Judge me, folks, if y'all want to. But I'm the person that I'm going to lay out all the bags with the specific pieces. I'm going to make sure things are color coded. And I'm going to make sure that as I go through those pages, I can put everything just boom, boom, here, there. I have to organize it. I don't want to work through chaos, even though my mind is kind of like organized chaos to a certain degree. So he was the first person to show me, like, yeah, you realize you organize things in a certain way and you put these things with certain patterns. And I'm like, I had no idea. Or they noticed that if music was playing in the background, I tap a lot. And I would tap because I'm humming to the beat, but whatever it is that I'm focusing on, I'm figuring out ways how to sync it up to music and to make it relatable, which later in life, I remember in calc class, like in calculus differential equations. I remember I was stuck doing I think it's like a triple integration. But basically, I would literally hum the beat to one of my favorite songs. It's Up by Wiz Khalifa from the Cushion Orange Juice mixtape. And I'm sitting there humming it. I can see every page that I started studying come back to me, and it made things come together. And then as certain sounds or beats would play along, I could see images, like flashes, and it just made everything make sense.
Oh, that is so amazing. And, out of all of that, what I heard was people, if you have ADHD, access a professional that can help guide you and point out your patterns and to point out different ways that can help support you, whether or not it's a therapist, whether or not it's a coach. It has to be somebody that understands the ADHD brain and that can be able to really communicate and that you can connect with.
Oof, you got to say that again. Like, put that as a public service announcement, because I get so many people talking about, oh, well, I WebMD this, or I was looking at the DSM and this is where I fell through. And I'm like, there are people out here that study this every single day. So let us help them help you. Like, we're working together. They are the professional. You are the client. That relationship is so key. People like you, like you need us to have ADHD in the spaces that we show up in order for you to add your expertise there. And we're helping each other. We're helping reward each other with overall understanding and just being able to navigate the world better, which is why I feel like people in the mental health industry, y'all need every last flower that is out there. Coaching, therapy, anything, you name it. Because the patience that it takes to just sit down, evaluate somebody and listen and siphon through all of that, I can't do it.
Yeah. And it's almost like the same way when you were just talking about engineering and the patterns and the shapes and the organizing things. It's almost like that, but just with people, right? And so you're like on the psych side or on the mental health side, you kind of, I don't know, at least for me, and just speak for myself, it's like you see the patterns and you see the shapes in the behaviors as when you're talking to people. And so it's kind of the same thing, but just, I'm dealing with people and then you're dealing with numbers,
Yeah,
engineering.
numbers, concepts, everything. Literally, I mean, it's daily routines. Like I'll let myself sit down and read a tech manual for 55 minutes tops. After that, I have to reward myself with a break to walk off and just reset because my bandwidth is only but so much. And I know that one, if I'm not monitoring that and if I'm not mindful of it, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to forget to drink my water, which is going to mess me up in the gym because, you know, your health is your wealth.
Yep.
Or I'm going to stay hyper focused on something for far too long and time, because you know, time blindness is huge with us with ADHD. It's going to
Hmm.
pass, and I'm not going to have anything done to the point in which I need it. So, yeah, professionals, they're there. How do you even reset your bandwidth? If I can ask you that question, like after you've had a load of clients, how do you reset yourself after absorbing so much all at once?
I mean, I would back up one step and say first you need to understand what your bandwidth is and what your capacity is. And so what are the signs that you feel personally that is going to alert you to say, hey, I'm reaching my limit? And so like how do you react? And like I know for me when I'm like, okay, I've had enough, like I can't talk to anybody else anymore,
Hmm.
is that when I start to not pay attention to what people are saying. Or I I physically get exhausted. Or like people are starting to like blend together. And so like like, yeah. So then like after that last like client, I'm like, okay, I can't handle any more information. And it also sometimes depends on what people are talking about too. And so sometimes it's not the number of people that you're talking with or the number of tasks that you're doing, because it could be something that I'm really enjoying and it's actually energizing me. Like the more people I'm talking to actually could be energizing me. And then after I talk to that last person, I can get 3 more hours of work done.
Hmm.
Um, and then other days, depending on what the topic is or depending on what else I've had going on that day, after that last person, I'm like, okay, this is not it. But you have to know internally, like what is your body telling you? What are you feeling when you start to reach your own capacity? And so I think once you know that, then it's okay. Because that's like a preventative method, right? So it's like you can, once you start to feel that internal feeling like, okay, I got to shut this down
Hmm.
and I got to transition onto something else. And so then you're trying about recharging, right? And so then after you understand your capacity, you understand when your body is communicating to you when you're about to reach it.
Hmm.
It's then giving some time to yourself, doing some meditation, doing something that you really enjoy, or just honestly going to sleep, right? Resting, like what is
Yes.
resting for you? um and resting doesn't necessarily mean not doing anything, right? Resting could also mean cooking a really good meal, like doing something that you really well enjoy. So I enjoy cooking. Not every ADHDers actually really enjoy cooking because it can be really challenging for a lot of us.
Hmm.
And really overwhelming, but I personally just really love cooking and it energizes me in a lot of ways. Just because it gives me that creative outlet. Like I open up the refrigerator, like, what can I create today?
Yep.
And so knowing that accessing something creative can be really restorative for me. But like, do you know that? Like, do you know yourself well enough to be able to identify the things that help restore you? And some people do and some people don't. But if you don't, then you need to investigate that. So like, and take some time to get to know yourself. So take the time to figure out what your capacity is. Take the time to understand how your body feels and where you're feeling it so that you can recognize like, okay, I'm reaching my limit. So like, is my temperature starting to go up? Am I starting to get really cold? Is my heart starting to beat a little bit faster? Am I starting to yawn and get really exhausted? So like, where do you feel it within your body? And then from there, also just, I'm just repeating myself and knowing that what things help restore you, whether or not that's reading, whether or not that's watching a good movie. I don't know how many times watching a good Netflix episode has restored because I get to hear somebody else's drama, and then or like I like cop shows, right? Because everybody gets caught at the end.
Yep.
And so like after 45 minutes, the day is saved. So I appreciate that sense of relief and sense of joy, because sometimes when you're working with and just being a social worker, just working with communities, and you see a lot of things going on and you may not necessarily see it be resolved within the time that you're working with somebody. And so for me, watching a good 45-minute show, knowing that all the bad guys are getting caught at the end and everybody's going to be having a happy ending, makes me feel good. And if there's a part two, then I got to make sure that I watch the part two because I need I need the closure. And so for me, that's restorative because it gives me some hope that things are going to be great. So I feel like somebody left a comment. I am a Black woman and I approve this message. I have a horrible challenge just of getting the computer work and service done, and I'm off schedule. Yeah, things can press for all of us. Amen to that.
Yeah, like jobs where you sit in front of a computer, I feel like it's good, but it can also have its negative impacts as well too. Like for myself, like a lot of my engineering, I have to be in front of a computer all day. So I make sure I have like fidgets that are there, and I learned about a lot of the fidgets due to the guys in the men's group, or just different ways. Like I know, like the timer, I'll literally have a timer on my desk, and I'm setting it for, okay, you have this amount of time to pay attention to this subject until you need to move on to the next one. This is another reason why I love this men's group, because we empower, inspire, and motivate everyone to just be better people, but just to understand yourself, and how you tick. And I really have gotten out of the whole entire idea that, you know, my quirks are weird to everybody else and that I need to be doing something that fits everyone's expectations or something that's acceptable. Honestly, as long as you're not hurting nobody and you're not bothering nobody, learn what your quirks are. Those are there for you to reset and to regulate. And it is okay. Whether you have the mats underneath, you know, your desk where, you know, you need stimulation like through like touch. Like I know people who do that. I love cars. So the fidget that I have is a gear shifter where I will literally sit there and shift through gears, but I'm focusing at the same exact time too. Or sometimes going out for a walk, getting fresh air, that helps. Connecting with nature. One of the greatest things that I learned, especially during COVID, where all of us are working from home, I will go outside when it's nice and I'll plant my feet in the ground. I'll take my socks off and I will just ground myself. And I literally just felt a sense of relief. Like Mother Nature was like, look, I got you. You got me. Let's connect. Now I want you to go back inside and be great. And has not failed me to this day. Even though this Northern Virginia area, concrete jungle to a certain degree, overstimulating, I can't do it as much. I still find my ways.
I just need to show you where to go. I'm in DC. I need to give you the list of places to go to so that you can be one with nature. There's a lot in Northern Virginia and in DC. So I'll send you a list.
Yes. Because this area is, I know for me, overstimulating between the sounds, the smells, so many people all together. Like I've noticed that even walking through the mall, if I don't have my headphones that can noise cancel, I'm good to nobody. Because everything just starts frustrating me. And I never used to be like that. I used to love going out to concerts or to festivals, being around people. Nah, y'all draining too much of my energy. I'm gonna need this for me. Like, get that back. Like,
yeah, it can be a lot.
Yes, it is. But it's getting better, and I'm enjoying my time up here.
Yes, I will send you a list of places that you can go that are just kind of more one with nature. There's a lot. There's a lot of different places for sure out here. You just have to find your space because you can get easily caught up or want to reject a lot of the culture that can happen here in the DMV.
Yeah, I would, because like behind me, like I can see the skyline of like the different cities, and I'll just look outside and be like, nah, I'm standing here. I'm not dealing with that today. And I just become home.
Yeah, it is like that. And so, but the key though is that you know that about yourself. So like you know that you can be overstimulated. And I've been feeling that way, especially as I've been getting older. And part of it is probably because I have a 14-month-old who is just like touching me all the time. And so there's like some overstimulation happening at home. So when I'm going outside into other environments, that can just be a lot, and a lot of people, a lot of just activity, a lot of energy. And I also realized too that I'm like more of an empath than I probably ever really realized. And I know that that's pretty common with ADHD in general. Just really being able to kind of fully understand or just be impacted by the energy of other people around us. And it can be helpful for when it's body doubling, when you're trying to be productive and just, I always describe it as like stealing the energy of the other people.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be more productive, but it has its downsides too when you start to get overstimulated. But again, it's all about awareness. Like, do you even know that you're overstimulated? Because when you are overstimulated, you can have all different types of reactions, right? And so, but if you know that that's what's actually happening, then you can do something about it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I realized it big time when I moved up here. I was in Tyson's Corner and I was only in there for 5 minutes and I forgot my headphones, but I could literally feel my body temperature raising. And I'm like, am I having a hot flash out here right now? Because I take my jacket off and I just have pools of sweat like on my arm. And I'm like, what is going on? Or like I start to grind my teeth because it's like, what are all y'all people doing? Like you got your kids running up and down the escalator, knocking over stuff. You got people talking loud on the phone. Like ridiculous conversations, kids just doing outlandish things, people looking lost. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Excuse my French, but it's just, I'm like,
It's
nah,
a lot.
yeah, I'm like, we're not doing this today. Like, I'll walk in and I'll look, nah, bro, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this. Same thing with the gym. If it's packed, I'll go in there and I'll look, nah, we're gonna come back in an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you think about like how does that impact, when you talk about men and then you talk about health and ADHD and health outcomes. And men and health outcomes is like a whole other conversation, right? But then thinking about, burnout rates and diabetes and being able to have access to healthcare and all of that, and ADHD can impact all of that.
Yeah, and it's just learning about us as minorities as well too, and how it shows up different for us. I know, like with me, like overheating, I got that checked at the doctor, and then also, hypertension's huge with us as well too. So it's just making me more aware of, okay, I need to cut out these types of foods, I need to cut out these types of environments that I'm around, and I need to be a lot more balanced. And it was never like this when I was in my 20s at all. But I feel that as I've gotten older, being able to be more aware has caused me to be more in tune with self, and I know myself a whole lot better now.
Mhm.
To the point where I'm looking, like I can look at photos and almost see and feel exactly where I am at that moment. And I don't know how the heck I was able to do half that stuff most of the time. There's no way because I burn out like a lot easier now.
Mhm.
I'm going to bed nightly, 10:30, maybe sometimes 11 o'clock if I feel like, I want a game or something like that. But nah, mm-mm. If it's dark outside and a movie comes on, or I'm at the movies or TV somewhere around, I'm going to sleep. My brain is tired of processing because I am running so much stuff through my mind all at once.
Yeah. Do you feel like that conversation comes up a lot within the support group?
Yeah. The Facebook prompts, because I know for a while, like burnout, I took almost a year and a half to 2 years off from even advocating because I was burnt out. Social media, the amount of posts, the amount of having to reply to someone's comment in order for the algorithm to pick up that, hey, you're an active account.
Yeah.
Um, Keeping up with people's expectations, just things that people talk about, and if you don't respond to them, they take it personal, and then you take that as a hit to who you are as a person. You start questioning. It's oversaturating and it's overwhelming. And I know in the group, it got to a point where even though I had taken a break, I was able to still, like, in the background, I'll go on Facebook and I'm just looking at what people are posting. I'm just like, damn, we're going through the same thing at the same time. So I would sit there and just watch how so many of us men would just come there and support for each other. Like, you can go into the support group and you can go in there with depression, like, hey, my girlfriend just broke up with me. And you will watch so many men just come out of nowhere and show up for you. And not only do they show up for you in the comments, they will hold side conversations with you and even try to do body doubling with you if you need to. If you live in the same area, they'll try to, meet up, and you have these new bonds that are created. And men will be like, hey, had I not come here, I don't know where I would be. And I know from my own personal experience, had I not been exposed to this group I don't know how I was gotten through a lot of things I've gone through in life.
Yeah, yeah, that's so important to have that support. I'm so glad that you guys are doing that. I think it's so important. Um, and even when thinking about the ADHD conference, right, and like the number of men that show up in these spaces versus the number of women, like I don't know the percentages, but when I look around the space, when
Mm,
I go to the major conferences, when I look, I'm like, I definitely do not see as many men in these spaces as I do women in these large conferences. And then if you're not a white male, then there's even less of you in that space. And so to be able to have a separate organization that's really doing that work and really focus on that and making sure that people are accessing services and have access to services, I mean, it's amazing. Um, and then just quick, I was just scrolling up. Hi, Ingrishay. Thanks for coming. Um, there were some other, yeah, some comments about the algorithm. Like, yeah, man, the algorithm is annoying.
mm.
And honestly, I feel like it should just be a whole other topic or a panel discussion or something, just talking about just being a social media or just an influencer with ADHD and the impacts that this whole other world can have on us, and the burnout is real, and like the pressure to try to get things out for people. I mean, I'm starting to feel it now, if I'm being honest. Like that's why I ended up just starting to do the lives in October, because it was just so much easier for me to just get on a live and just talk than it was to try to create all these posts.
Mhm.
And
It will burn you out. It's
yeah,
oh man, I I can tell you right now, social media, and I've put it on my vision board that I want to get back into it because I see content creators like yourself. Um, Ying is a great content creator, the men's group, and then like so many other people that I follow, and I'm like, this is amazing, but if I try to do it, I get execution paralysis because I literally get so overwhelmed with how much it requires. And the time that I took away from not advocating, I realized a lot of my time on my phone or being connected to the digital world was greatly reduced. Um, Now to this point where I think even per day, I may be able to have like 3 total screen time hours that I'm actually on my phone because social media overwhelms the hell out of me. Between the obnoxious topics that people are talking about every day, the comment section, disgusting. Some people just you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
yeah,
There's no satisfying anybody. The bots, oh my gosh, the trolling.
yeah,
That within itself, it's like now I see why I left. And I don't know if I want to come back because from 2019, well, from COVID to like now, it's changed. Social media is not the same.
yeah.
It's it's hard.
It is hard, and it's hard too because like I'm a business owner, and like we have these organizations where getting people information is part of the part of the process, right? And it's like I want to be able to share information and to be able to present it in a way that people will be able to receive it. But doing that, and like thinking about going back to capacity, right? And so understanding like what is your capacity for this, and like which methodology are you going to be using in order that's going to really work for your life, and so that it doesn't create burnout. And I had to figure that out, right? And so it's again like it's easy for me to just get on an IG live and then just post it and just post clips. Like for me, that was a lot easier and it felt more authentic. And then I wasn't sitting here trying to craft all different types of videos. Like I'm all about 2024 and now 2025 for me is all about unmasking. And so I needed to be able to show up authentically and like with all of the different editing and all of that other nonsense that can come along with creating posts that catch people's eyes and catch people's attention. It was too much for me, especially with like under 2 year olds, like a one, not even 1.5. Like nobody has time to be making all these videos and edits and using all these applications, and it can be really, 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 really exhausting. And so those that are listening to me, just follow me anyway because you will be getting some content, but it's going to be like it's
Yeah.
going to be uncut, unedited. It is what it is. You may see like a random song. Did you see my song?
I saw that. I was at work laughing. I was like, no, she didn't. I was in there dying because like the office wasn't like super packed, but I thought it was absolutely great. Like I love it, and I'm so glad you put that out there because sometimes we need a little bit of that humor. We need a little bit. I always say like if you laugh, a smile pops up on your face.
Mhm.
So you were able to lift people, and I actually needed that as well too because having a whole week off for like Christmas and then going back into the monotony of work and that cycle, I was like, nah, this ain't helping. So thank you for that. That was
You're
all.
welcome. Everybody that is listening and that's listening to the replay, go to my page and listen to I Got ADHD. The song that, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not singing. Like, let's be clear. Like, you don't want me to be singing on this thing. Like, this is, I got AI generated voice. It was like,
Mm-mm-mm.
and I was like, this is so good. And then they came up with the beat and everything. I was like, this whole song, it probably took me 20 minutes. And I'm like, this is great, but this is the era of technology right now. But it was so good, and I was so excited about it. So everybody listen to it on repeat. It's the anthem for 2025.
Look, we're going to manifest that right now. It is going to be an anthem. It is going to be picked up. You're going to have a whole bunch of streaming traffic coming straight on through it. And next thing you know, you're going to have a billboard somewhere talking about, I got ADHD and here go the song just playing. It's
Yeah.
sometimes like when you have those creative moments, you have to do it because I remember I was talking to my therapist one time before, and he was like, "Look, if you get a thought and an idea, you need to execute something within that thought and idea within 5 to 10 seconds, or else it's going to go away, and then it's going to pile up." And so I'm trying to get myself back into that headspace. But when I tell you, like, disconnecting to reconnect has been such a godsend for me. It literally helps reset everything. But now our lives are so built around being connected. Like, I don't think people stop and sit back and just look at everybody around you. Like, if you're in a crowded space, how many people heads are facing forward versus how many heads are looking down at a screen? You're that connected. And it's frustrating at times. Like, I remember I'll go to concerts and I'm like, dude's performing right here. Why you got your phone up? And your camera quality suck anyway, and your hands shaking like you got the shakies all day. Like, bro, put it down. Or if I go in the
I know.
gym.
So I'm going to be the devil's advocate here because I am definitely that person that's recording everything. But a part of me also does it because I'm not going to remember. Like when I think about how much of my life, I honestly do not remember. Like, this working memory challenge with ADHD is so real. And so I'll go through like old videos and old pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. And so a lot of the times you will definitely see me recording like a whole bunch of things and something is right in front of me. And it's mostly because I want to be able to remember this later. Like I want to go back and being like, that was such a cool time. So it brings me some sense of joy to go back and realize like, oh my God, now my dealing with trying to edit the capacity on my phone is annoying because I'm always running out of space. But it really does help me remember things and like to remember that especially during those moments where I'm starting to feel really overwhelmed by like all the things that go on in my life, or you just fall into like a negative cycle. Like for me, transitioning out of that space is going back to look at old videos and old pictures of things that I really did enjoy and that it reminds me of that and it brings a smile to my face. And so I try not to judge people now when they're always looking at the phone because I'm like, oh, maybe they're trying to capture a memory like I am. Maybe they're just not going to remember this event tomorrow. Like I'm probably not going to.
Well, it's like as you said, like, and I think it's a great thing that we do it for us, like, to remember. Because yes, sometimes, like, I had to remind myself, you're 35, you're not like 65, 70 years old. Because I literally will go in the room, cut my light off, and be like, "Yo, did I turn that light off?" And I can visually see the light is off. Like, it's little things. Even now, like, I've heard people talk about it. They'll forget that they changed their underwear. I'm like, "Yo, that's personal," but it happens. So
That's
for
happening.
me, like going back to the social media thing, I think it's just the overall like traffic of how many people are doing it all at once. It gets to the point where it's super overwhelming. So for me, I carry a notepad in my pocket. So if there's something that happens, I'm writing it down, because if I'm writing it down, it makes me like focus. I don't have the distraction of everything that's going on around me. So I don't have those squirrel moments. And I really have to sit down and be like, okay, what is my body feeling right now? What do I see? Like going into all of my senses. So then when I pull it back out and I read it, I'm descriptive enough where I can recreate it right there. It's replaying over and over. And I just feel exactly where I'm at. But I've definitely made more of a conscious effort to just be present. Like, you know what? It's kind of like I was watching House Party the other day, how like everybody's like there, like they're having their dance battles and stuff like that. Nobody's on the phone recording it. You just had to be there at the party to know exactly what went on. And for me, those moments are golden for me. I hold on to those so much more than me being like, oh, homeboy got pushed down the steps. Let me go ahead and record this real quick. Like, or something that's happening over this. I have crazy, like, dark humor at times, but I don't know. It's just nowadays, like, the first thing to do, like, pull out my phone, it's not instantaneous anymore.
Yeah.
And I literally feel weird when I start doing that. Like, I'll check myself, like, all right, dude, you've been on the phone too much. You need to put that away. And I'll put it all the way across the room and put something over top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. It does. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like there's so many good things about it, but then there's also so many bad things about it. But, at the end of the day, like you really just need to be in control of what's happening versus letting the social media world happen to you, but really taking control of what's going on, because it can take you down a rabbit hole really quickly.
You know about the ADHD rabbit hole and hyperfocus.
Yeah, that's how that song got created.
Cue that song.
I know I should play it in the background. That's how that song got created. I clearly was supposed to be doing something else. Let's be for real. Because FYI, everybody that's listening, I do have a group coaching program that's coming out. Oh, the first was coming out this month, and the first group coaching session for women with ADHD is happening next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And the program is called Thrive, and it is really exciting opportunity for women with ADHD to come together and to really connect with each other, but then also get some access to some real supports and real services. And I'm going to be having a lot of there's going to be these public conversations, but then some people are coming back and doing some private conversations as well for the group. So for example, like I'm going to have a financial advisor coming in, and he's going to be talking about like, preparing to be a business owner, and like, what does that look like financially, just from a financial advisor perspective, because a lot of us ADHDers are entrepreneurs, and it's like, before you start, let's check our money. And so he's going to be having a real conversation about that for the group on the IG Live. But then in the Thrive group coaching program, he's specifically going to be talking about retirement and like, what does retirement planning look like for somebody with ADHD? And so we're going to be getting into the nitty gritty there as well. And so there's going to be a bunch of public conversations, a bunch of private conversations. I have some workbooks. There's a workbook around executive functions to be able to help you identify your own strategies that's going to work for you. And so I may make that first sale publicly, but haven't decided. But there's going to be a lot of stuff.
Go ahead.
There's going to be a lot of information for the private group. So if you are interested in the Thrive program, if you identify as a woman with ADHD, and you want to know more information about that, please just send me a DM, or you can just go to my link tree on my page, and the link is there. There were some sales going on, but if you want a discount, send me a DM. I'm all about making sure that people have access to support services. And so that's going on. So there's a bunch of different other conversations happening throughout the year. I'm trying to schedule them. If you are a professional with ADHD, you work with ADHDers, and you want to be on these IG Live series, let me know that as well. I think there's a link in my link tree. There is, to say if you want to be a guest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a link in my link tree. If you want to be a guest on these IG Live series, just go ahead and submit that there. But I have a bunch of resources I'm trying to share, and I'm trying to not gatekeep. But there are going to be special things for the private group as well, if you are a member of Thrive. We are coming to our 8 o'clock. It's been an hour. This conversation has been fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah, so this is it's great to connect. I know we've been trying to connect for a little while, um, as well. I'm just sitting here waving to all the people. Does anybody have any questions before we get off?
I
I
didn't
know I've seen some.
even see most of the comments down there.
Yeah, I know some people had or were co-signing a lot of the things that we were saying, um, and then saying some funny things. And so I'm just trying to wave to everybody because I appreciate you joining, for sure. Yeah, a lot of people talking about visually overstimulation and working memory challenges. Like all that is real. But I do want, if you know a man with ADHD or you identify as a man with ADHD, please reach out to John or the men's support group as well. What is men's with men with ADHD
Mhm.
support group or men?
Men's ADHD support group.
Right.
We've
I
had to change
keep messing it up.
it like a couple times just because like if you try to say it like out loud, sometimes it sounds right and it doesn't. So either way, we know exactly what you mean.
Yes, please reach out. I am constantly referring people to y'all, as well. I think it's such an amazing resource. And for the access, like I'm trying to get my godson to be able to do what he's supposed to be joining this live. I did not see his name pop up. So he'll be getting
It'll
a
be
text
there right
later.
on time.
He'll be getting a text later. Um, he knows who he is. I see you, or I don't see you. That's a problem. And so, so I'm gonna try to have him connect with y'all as well. And yeah, so it's good to know that there are resources available. There's some other ADHD coaches that are listening in right now too that have a lot of services that people need to access. Like, we can't serve everybody, but we try. But there's a lot of us that are out here doing that work, and so making sure that you're getting the support that you need, access it, please. Um, do you have any other closing thoughts before we hang up?
So I saw like a bright sticky note on here that I forgot to go over, which is to state that our group is now a nonprofit. So we are a 501(c), which has opened up a lot more doors for us. I did want to thank you for this opportunity because a lot of people don't know, but this is my first live in 2 years. So just being back on, the social media space and actually showing my face and speaking, this helped out a lot because I was also like, kind of nervous on how I would deliver certain information and things like that. So this really did help me a lot from a personal standpoint. And it just reignites that fire and passion to get back out there. And I wanted to say thank you for what you are doing in this community and how you show up each and every day for it. Because regardless of how many people may reply to you, how many people like your post, or where it travels, you never stop showing up. And that means something. So thank you for how you show up and what you're doing.
Thank you. Don't make me cry.
No, I really appreciate it. Like someone's got to do it. And, the last thing I want to leave people with is don't feel like you're alone, and it's never too late to start. Execution paralysis is the number one thing that's going to stop you from the next person doing the exact thing that you want to do, and they're never going to be able to do it exactly like you because you never gave yourself that shot. So this year, I'm taking all sorts of leaps, and I'm not having any fear chasing me behind whatsoever because as long as there's a lesson to be learned and I can take that lesson and improve as a person, it's a win. And that's all I want people to do is just to win every single day. So if you know men with ADHD, send them my way. Myself, Brendan Mahan, Mark Adadovar, Kristen Morton, we're all there for you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm so glad that you came to. I am really trying to create this space. I really wanted it to be authentic, and I really wanted people to feel comfortable to just share their story, share the work that they're doing, share how they're currently supporting the ADHD community in a really, really, really authentic, unmasked space. Like, I don't want all the glitz and glam. I'm just not trying to do all that. And so I want people to feel comfortable. ADHDers are real people, and we're living real lives and having real conversations, and we're not all like in front of the camera like in stars. We don't all have 394,000 followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not all the major influences within the community, right? There are some there are some people that are in the social media world have millions of followers, right? But not everybody does, and that doesn't mean that they're not doing good work. And so, part of me also wants to highlight those individuals too that are really doing some really important work in the community, but are not necessarily getting the recognition that they deserve.
Hey, that recognition is there. I'll just share a quick blurb on that. The very first ADHD conference I attended was back in 2022, and I was literally on the Young Influencer stage with Jessica McCobb,
Mm-hmm.
Danny Donovan, my sis, Black Girl Lost Keys, Renee, and you know, e- everyone combined millions of followers, and I'm just sitting there. At the time, I think I had like maybe 19 to 20,000 followers. So the numbers didn't speak compared to everyone else, but the message still got across,
Mm-hmm.
and it's impactful. So don't get so flustered around the metrics. If you have a message, if you have a voice, you are the messenger. You will divinely be assigned people to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you put that message out there, it will do its work on its own. You just got to do
Thank you so much for that. I'm about to play the song right on the way out.
it. Go ahead.
I'm
I'm
about to.
gonna need that MP4 file or whatever the file is, and I'm gonna just go ahead and play it as an anthem in the morning.
Yeah, it's just so good. I'm like so proud of it's AI, if I'm being honest.
Hey, we can get some audio engineering on it, tweak it a little bit, make it some
Okay,
like a digital
ready?
release.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, baby, I got ADHD, baby. I set my goals, not your expectations, baby. I need my same vacation, baby. Neurodivergent flow, no limitation, baby. Baby. Now I wake up and I'm chasing dopamine. Got a button in my pen is looking clean.
We need this. We need this big time.
Cooking up routines. I just focus, yeah, I'm deep in my zone. Don't touch me, I do it on my own. They say I'm messy, I say that's not wrong. Every day I'm building castles from unknown. I like breaks. I like snacks. I feel my brain set the pace. I like hacks. I like channels that remind me to relax. That's my life. I make it work, make it work. I'm so thinking twisted turn. I love my quirks, love my quirks. They stay on my brain don't do the grind. I'm redefining how I work. I'm on my phone. They say, why can't you just focus on the task? I'm like, I got my flow, so don't you ask. Procrastination, yes. Down.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh
There's
yeah,
like
we're gonna need it to blow up. We're gonna need that.
yeah. Yeah. It's
So when your TED talk or you become a keynote, you better come out to that,
I'm
and you better be vibing the
definitely
entire
coming out
time.
to that song.
Stu, you had me over here looking like Frederick Douglass with my hair on out, still bopping, still loving it. So yes, it is impactful. I love that for you. That is dope.
I am definitely coming out to that song for the next keynote. And any keynote, I don't care where I'm at. I would love to do a speaking at the HR conference, and I'm definitely coming out to that song.
There you go. Let them know.
But thank you so much again. Thank you everybody who has stuck with us throughout this entire time. Appreciate your presence, and your comments and stuff, and your enjoying this, interacting with us here on the IG Live. So we are going to call it a night.
All right.
Actually, thank you so much, and then I'll text you later,
Okay.
because I want to we got to get you in nature. There's a lot of good nature spots
Please hook
in
me
DC.
up. Like you said, there's no gatekeeping, so I'm gonna hold you to that.
There's some groups too. There's some like cool like outdoor groups. I'll send it to you. I gotta find
Okay.
it, but I'll send it to you.
I bet.
All right. Thank
Appreciate it.
you. Talk to you later. Bye. Bye everybody.